Welcome to my Chinese takeaway kitchen, or Gotlin's kitchen now. Tonight we are doing my mini spring rolls from my Chinese takeaway cookbook, which is my red one. I think the green book, we've added noodles in there. I'm going to show you how to roll the spring rolls, and obviously we'll fry a couple off just so you can see what they look like. But once you've got this recipe, you can put whatever you like in it. So if you like shrimps, char siu pork, chicken, even salami, who knows. Whatever you want to put in your spring rolls, they're just a vessel to transport some yumminess into your gob so you can be munching away. So I'll run through the ingredients as we do always. So firstly, I'll go through these. So these are my spring roll pastries. You do find them in the freezer section of your Oriental supermarket. I know some of the larger supermarkets, like Sainsbury's, Tesco's, Waitrose as well, I know some of them stock these, not all of them stock them, so if you can't get them, you will have to pop into an Oriental superstore. I've chopped the top, and all I've done, I've just covered it with a tea towel, or a damp cloth, it would be better actually, just to stop them from drying out. So I'm going to pop these to one side, fold them over out the way. In this bowl I have a handful of water chestnuts. Again, tonight we're cooking not really to measurement. We've got water chestnuts, they're not measured out. Again, I've taken a pinch of water chestnuts, chopped these down into bite-sized pieces. Bamboo shoots. These were from a cooking, one of the cook-alongs that I did about a month ago. And all I did was, the ones that I didn't use, I put them into a freezer-proof container and put them in the freezer. Defrosted them this morning, they're going to be absolutely fine. I have a handful of bean sprouts, okay? I've got Napa cabbage in mine. Napa cabbage, otherwise known as Chinese leaf, I believe, if you go to. And again, Tesco's, I'm pretty sure Tesco sell it, and so does Asda. But again, some supermarkets will sell this, some won't. If you can't get the Napa cabbage, use normal cabbage, or use, just whatever. We have some garlic, which I've just minced down, a spring onion. I've got the whites because the green, I had some old ones in the fridge, and I've stripped them right down. The whites were fine, the greens were a bit gnarly, so I've binned those. I've got a carrot, which I just cut into a julienne. We have some light soy sauce, some sesame oil, some white pepper, some salt, and a beaten egg with about a teaspoon, 2 teaspoons of corn flour. This is just going to make sure that when we do wrap, they don't come unwrapped when we're frying them. Okay, so first things first, because obviously I'm prepped, I'm going to get my wok on. And I haven't said that for 2 weeks. Okay, so I'm just getting my wok nice and hot. Again, like always, I'm going to wait for the wok to get hot. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Some exciting news. We have started production of an Amazon Prime TV program now. Probably won't be out until early next year, but production has started. We've got some fantastic sponsors on board, and so you'll be able to catch a 12-part series on Amazon Prime in the new year, which is really exciting. And it's going to be recipes from my red cookbooks. It's called Chinese Takeaway Kitchen. So really excited about that. And okay, so my wok is getting nice and hot. I'm going to add about 1.5 tablespoons of oil. So there's a tablespoon and a bit. And to this, I'm going to add my spring onions first. Doesn't matter if a few carrots go in at the same time. And I'm just going to fry these off until fragrant. And when I'm happy that these are nice and fragrant, I'll add the garlic. If I add the garlic now, chances are they're going to burn. If I had onions, I'll probably add it in. So straight away, I'm getting that spring onion smell. It smells fantastic. I'm going to add my garlic along with my carrots, I think. Carrots need just that little bit longer. Now, once we've cooked the filling, we will have to let it cool ever so slightly. So there will be 5 or 10 minutes of me doing sod all really, which is all good on a cook along, I guess. It just means we get to chat. So you can fire away as many questions as you want. So I'm just going to fry the carrots for about a minute or so until they're nice and soft. Remember, when you're cooking Chinese food, it's all in the preparation. If you're cooking at home, I'd advise as well that you measure out your seasonings. I do everything by eye. It's something that we did in the restaurants and the takeaways that I've worked at. So again, I put it in and I give it a taste. And if it tastes great, fantastic. If it doesn't, I start adding a bit more seasoning. So, okay, so the garlic spring onions and carrots are nicely cooking away now. What shall I add next? Napa won't take long actually. So I'm going to add my bamboo shoots and water chestnuts. In there you go. Let's get rid of that in a second. You've noticed as well, I've turned the music right down. We are listening to sounds of the 60s. The videos have been banned, so because of the music, we don't have copyright. So everything's browning off quite nicely now. So I'm going to add my Napa cabbage. And you know what? I'm going to add my bean sprouts as well. And I'm just going to give that a quick stir. Okay, now, when you're cooking bean sprouts, I advise you use white pepper. We use white pepper in Cantonese cooking because it's your background heat without that harshness. I'm going to add about a quarter to maybe just over a quarter of a teaspoon of white pepper. Remember, this is going into pancake skins or pancake wrappers, and then obviously we're going to deep fry them. So don't be scared of it. Well, not over seasoning, but make sure it's well seasoned. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of salt, so that can go in as well, and I'm going to start off with about 3/4 of a tablespoon of light soy sauce, and I'll give that a taste in a second just to see what it tastes like. Now once this filling is cooked and we've drained it slightly, so if you don't have a sieve over a bowl, I do suggest you go and get it, because obviously we want to try and get as much moisture out of this as it's cooling. Otherwise what happens is the pancake wants to split because the mixture is so wet. And obviously we want to try and get it as cool as possible, otherwise it's just going to ruin the wrappers as we're rolling. So I'll give it quick taste, and it tastes fantastic, which I'm pleased about. So off that goes, and now straight away, I'm going to add the sesame oil now. I was on the line about adding it when it was cold, but I'm going to add it when it's warm, because then it can sort of like mix around a little bit. So I'm going to add about half a teaspoon of sesame oil. Give that a quick mix in. Now I'm going to drain the veggies over this metal bowl with my sieve, and we're just going to allow this to cool. Now I'm going to do this hopefully just by pushing the mixture just over to the sides, creating a little well in the middle, and we're just going to give that 5, ideally 10 minutes if we can wait that long, just to drain off now. And we're going to get the oil on. Now in here I have vegetable oil, which I've used already actually, so it's already been used for deep frying once. After I finished deep frying the other day, I let it cool completely, passed it through the finest sieve that I have. I'm quite lucky that I've got one of these, which is a Chinese style sieve, and it's really, really fine. It just gets out all the gunk that was in the bottom from frying. You can reuse your oil about 2 or 3 times before it goes a bit not very good for you. Alright, so in here I've got some vegetable oil, which I've used once already, and there's around about 4 to 5 centimetres in depth of oil. Okay, I'm only going to fry up a couple of spring rolls at a time. Obviously if you're going to do a batch, obviously you want to use a bigger pan. So, hey Mike, how are you? All well? And Lollipops is on the line as well. Wow, everybody's, you know what, I might take a few weeks off again, because everybody's coming on board today. It's fantastic. This is all good. Making me feel loved. Okay, so that's cooling down. So, pancake skins. So, now these look massive, and we are only making the mini spring rolls. I suppose technically you could chop them down, but I'm not going to do that today. Okay, that's just coming up to temp. So, temperature of the oil is going to be about 160, 170. How do you stop the veg going soggy inside? Drain it and let it cool completely. I'm not going to let this cool completely because we don't have the time, because we're live. Whereas you could cook this, I don't know, lunchtime in the morning if you're going to serve it in the evening, and let it cool completely. And if you do it over a sieve like this, you can see just in the bottom of there, you can see all the liquid in the bottom, can't you? So obviously the veggies are going to be dry. This will stop you from having soggy spring rolls. Also as well, If your oil isn't hot enough and you put it in, so you really want about 170 actually, if you put it in when it's too cool, what happens is that the oil's not hot enough to seal the outside, so you get a soggy spring roll. So stick it in quite warm and then maybe turn the oil down just to control that temperature. Remember, everything's cooked. So there's nothing raw going into this. So providing you get it up to, I don't know, 70 odd degrees inside, so it's nice and hot, it's cooked anyway. So, but yeah, so just make sure that your oil is nice and hot, and that will stop you from getting a soggy spring roll or pancake roll. Okay, so these are very, very thin, and literally you just have to take your time and just separate a couple of these out. And again, if you can, I didn't bring today, I'm going to do 3, say. And then what you want to do is just cover them under a damp tea towel, and that will stop them from drying up. Obviously, a dry tea towel is better than nothing, so I'm just going to use my tea towel and I'm going to pop that just over the top. Hopefully that should stop them drying out. With these, are just fold and pop back into the wrapper. Now I'm going to put these straight back in the freezer after I finish this session. It's never harmed me yet. On the packet it probably says do not refreeze. I've never had a problem, so it's up to you whether or not you do that or not. I know that I'm not going to get 30 spring rolls out of this recipe, and it comes in packs of 30, well this particular pack did. Just sealed over, and that goes there now. Okay, so the oil is getting very warm now. So I'm going to take one of these pancake skins, and I'm going to start with the point pointing towards me. So there's my pancake skin, and I'm going to be about there. Now, about a third of the way up, I'm going to create like a line of filling. Actually, it's not a good place to put it, you can't watch, see it all from there. So, now this is still hot. You really don't want to be doing this when it's still hot, it just makes it hard work. So you see there's about probably 2 good tablespoons, maybe a little bit more of filling there. And if I split this into 3, 1, 2, we've got 3 sections. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take this end here now, and just pinching the mixture towards me, I'm just going to make like a cylinder, okay? Now taking this edge, I'm just going to fold it over neatly, and fold this one over neatly, and I'm just going to roll. Oh, not really mini this one's like a large one. And again, in here is just egg and corn flour, and I'm just going to seal the edge, and there's my first spring roll ready. I'm going to make a slightly smaller one. You can see that I'm well out of practice, and that one can be for me, but you want to try and do mini ones really. So I'm going to use a little bit less mixture. Again, starting, just turn that down now. Just starting with the point again towards me. Again, I'm going to take about 1.5 tablespoons this time of the mixture. A third of the way up. Like that. Maybe a little tiny bit more actually. And again, I just take this corner and I turn it over the top. And I turn it again, just creating that nice tight cylinder. Again, I'm going to make this one slightly smaller now. So I'm going to pull this right over. And this one goes over. Just tuck that end in to make it nice and neat. And as I'm rolling this, I'm just not squeezing it, but just pulling it nice and tight. That's a better one. That's a far better one, Mr. Wan. And there you go. We have one spring roll. Okay. So the reason they're so small when you get them from Chinese takeaways these days is because they're pre-bought. Not many takeaways make their own spring rolls anymore. Whew, that's hot oil now. I'm going to cool that down a little bit actually. That's about 220, which is going to be far too hot. So again, like I say, because my oil was too hot, because I was too busy waffling away and rolling spring rolls, I've just cooling it down with some clean oil or with some cold oil. So again, about 2 tablespoons of filling, about a third of the way up. This is the last one that I'm going to show you tonight. Taking this wrapper again, just pinching it over towards me, giving it a quick turn. I'm folding the edges just over halfway, so that's the edge of my pancake skin, okay, so it's just over halfway through the wrapper at the moment, okay. That gives me an indication of how big the roll's going to be. I do exactly the same on this side. I'm just going to tuck that little corner away so it's nice and neat. I'm going to give it a turn, pulling it towards me ever so slightly so I get a nice tight roll. And then just using a bit of this mixture just to seal the edge. So I've got two approximately the same size or thereabouts. Actually, I've got little spring roll, middle spring roll, and big spring roll. Making Mike hungry, making me hungry as well. Now, this is smoking, literally smoking. So I'm going to add about half a cup of oil just to get this down to temperature, because you want about 170, 180, okay? Now, slowly, I'm going to drop the spring roll in and I'm going to drop it away from me. So if it does splash, it splashes away from me rather than towards me. This one might be too big for the pan, or maybe not. And that one goes in as well. A little bit more cold oil because it's going to be nice and crispy and it won't be cooked in the middle. Well, it will be cooked in the middle. Okay, and they're cooking away. See, you can rescue anything in the kitchen. That's the nice thing about these lives. Because I'm busy away chatting, I'm always going to, I am going to get things wrong. I am going to make mistakes. But we can rescue it, because that's what we do. Got a nice serving plate. I've got no sauces actually. Why did I not bring a sauce out to try this? In fact, I'm going to try and give you a cross section. I'm hoping, this is sharp, I've not sharpened this for a little while actually. So I'm hoping this one's going to be sharp enough to chop through this in a second. But we shall find out in a minute. Okay, so that's cooking away now. I'll get the gas back on. I did switch the gas off for a second purely because the oil was smoking, literally. But that's looking good now. Lovely, lovely. And these will take around about 2 to 3 minutes just to warm through to the middle, and then they're done. So they don't take very long at all. So if you think you've got a, 5-10 minutes of prep, 5-10 minutes to cook it and cool it, and then another 2-3 minutes and you've got fresh spring rolls made at home. You know exactly what's in them. Yeah, and you can't beat home cooked. The taste is just far superior to anything you can buy, especially when they're pre-made, pre-packaged and frozen. So they're frozen way in advance before you guys get it. And I still like the mini spring rolls, especially with the chili sauce, but there's hardly any filling in it. So you can use kitchen paper or you can use a wire rack. And we're just going to take these out and pop them on there. You can see they're a nice golden brown, not too dark. So that was, well, if we're going for the kids' stories, that was mummy spring roll. This one's definitely daddy spring roll. It's a big one. And we have baby spring roll with a little brown bun, which has been sitting on the bottom of the pan. So let's just give those a second to cool down. And that's how simple it is to make spring rolls. So Jojo wants to try the air fryer for you. Perfect. Have you got an air fryer, Jojo, or are you asking me to send the one that I have? So I'm pretty sure she's asking for the one that I have. And okay, so there you go. And that wasn't drained properly. You can see that's not soggy in the middle, okay? So you can have a look up there, not soggy spring roll. And I'm gonna try this one and then we're gonna be done for the night. So anyways, guys, homemade mini spring roll or middle-sized spring roll. Nice and crispy, and it tastes fantastic. That's really, really nice. Thank you for joining me, guys. We shall be back. No, actually, next Wednesday. Yes, I shall be back on Wednesday at 6:30. If you have any suggestions about what dish you would like me to cook next Wednesday, please drop me a message via Instagram, Facebook, or even on a comment on one of the videos I have on YouTube, and we shall see which dish we can do. Try and pick a dish that we haven't cooked before, which would be nice. And until then, guys, I hope you have a fantastic evening. Please do go and try the veggie mini spring rolls, and I shall see you next Wednesday in the same place, same time, listening to probably the same soundtrack. See you later, guys. Bye bye.